Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
Police are called to two different schools in Warren over alleged threats made by students. Tonight, one of them faces a felony charge. Thanks for joining us for Local 4 News at 5. I'm Kimberly Gill.
I'm Devin Skillion. A 13-year-old is accused of sending a death threat to a classmate. This incident happening Tuesday at Chatterton Middle School following a separate incident Monday at Carter Middle School. Will Jones live with more here. Will, you talked with the parents of the 13-year-old student who's been charged?
Yeah, Devin and Kimberly, they understand the times that we're living in with school shootings, but they believe the way in which this incident has been handled is wrong.
They literally read these charges off. It blew my mind. Like, is you serious?
Because they don't know our son.
The parents of a 13-year-old Chatterton Middle School student in Warren are upset that their son is now facing a felony charge for allegedly sending threats to a student Tuesday after a fight. Warren police say they discovered a handgun and a BB replica firearm in the boy's home. His parents describe the response to what happened as an overreaction.
This boy finna come up in here and just grab a gun and go back. Come on, don't put that on, because he got to live with that. The charges that they just read off, it's serious.
Warren police say they took quick action after two reports of threats to students this week. The other incident happened at Carter Middle School. Police sharing with Local 4 a copy of a death list that they say an 11-year-old female Carter Middle School student compiled that included about a dozen students.
You know, once you receive information, you have to react to that information immediately. You can't wait 12 hours, 24 hours. You got to move quickly.
Warren Police Commissioner Bill Dwyer says parents need to pay closer attention to what their children are doing and saying.
Parents really have to take more responsibility. They have to sit down with their son and daughters, listen to their son and daughters first, and then give them advice. And they have to monitor them very closely.
Both schools sent letters to parents echoing what the police commissioner just said. They say parents should monitor what their kids are doing on their cell phones and social media. We are live tonight. Will Jones, Local 4.
Yeah. All right, Will.
The verdict delivered by a jury in Oakland County against Jennifer Crumbley Tuesday is indeed historic, but there's still a long way to go in the involuntary manslaughter cases of the two parents of the Oxford school shooter. Today, we're digging further into the jury's reasons for convicting Jennifer Crumbley and also what that conviction means for her husband, James Crumbley. Sean Lay has been speaking with experts. Sean, it's no sure thing that James Crumbley will even have a trial at this point.
That's a very good point. Let's talk about what's going to happen next year. Now, in April, Jennifer Crumbley right here is going to be sentenced now after the guilty plea. She could get no years, could get probation up to 15 years in prison for the conviction, or 15 plus years if Judge Matthews seems fit to add years to it. Talk about James Crumbley. He goes on trial in less than a month. Now, different jury, could be different result, but after watching what happened here, could he be in line for a plea deal? That could be a possibility. Jury foreperson also sharing new insights today.
And I'm just one of 12 that made a very difficult decision.
The Crumbley jury foreperson with an exclusive Today Show interview says the case against Jennifer Crumbley was no slam dunk. For her, this was the key to the guilty verdicts.
Jennifer didn't separate her son from the gun enough to save those lives that day.
This jury heard from Jennifer Crumbley herself, and this part of her testimony could not be overlooked in the jury room.
Of course, I look back after this all happened, and I've asked myself if I would have done anything differently, and I wouldn't have.
It was repeated a lot in the deliberation room. I think that it was very upsetting to hear. I think that there are many small things that could have been done to prevent this.
Let's remember, this verdict could impact any parent in any neighborhood at any time. Jennifer Crumbley, she could get probation or 7 to 15 years in prison. James Crumbley, his trial is next. Our crime and safety expert, Darnell Blackburn, says this trial will not be a carbon copy.
A different jury is the most important thing.
A different jury that could come back with a different verdict.
Because you never know what a jury's going to do. You never know what type of evidence is going to be presented.
Now, what Dad's defense can say, listen, we're going to fall on a sword. We're going to admit guilt.
Retired Judge Vonda Evans tells us that James Crumbley may not leave his fate up to a jury. He may cut a deal.
He's in a position to do that right now, so that the families do not have to endure what they went through, and saving taxpayers money by not going through a full trial and wrapping this all up. So technically speaking, he's in a better position than she was.
Very fascinating insight from former Judge Vonda Evans. Now, Jennifer Crumbley will be sentenced April 9th. James Crumbley going on trial next month, March 5th, if there's no plea deal. We're live tonight. Sean Lane, Local 4.
Okay, Sean, thank you.
Today, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected Hamas' latest offer for a ceasefire, calling the demands delusional. Hamas had proposed a deal calling for a phased Israeli withdrawal from Gaza during a 4.5-month truce and to create a plan to permanently end the war. Netanyahu said today Israel's aim is complete victory, but did not rule out further negotiations. Meanwhile, President Biden is sending top aides to Michigan tomorrow to meet with Arab American and Muslim leaders here about the Israel-Hamas war. Jacqueline Francis spoke with one of the local leaders who's been invited to those meetings, and she's here with more on what he had to say. Jacqueline.
Devin, I spoke with Osama Siblani just in the last couple hours, and he is the publisher of the Arab American News here in Dearborn. Now, he tells me he is invited to those meetings with Biden's top aides tomorrow and that he will likely attend, but that before making his final decision, he's going to meet with fellow community leaders, and they're going to talk about their agenda and overall approach to these talks. 4 months into the Israel-Hamas war, and with the presidential election looming, President Biden is sending top White House aides to Michigan Thursday to meet with Arab American and Muslim leaders. They're set to discuss the administration's handling of the Israel-Hamas war, and the message from the Arab American and Muslim community will be clear.
The president has to call for an immediate, unconditional, and lasting ceasefire.
Osama Siblani is invited to the talks, and while he's optimistic about the chance to be heard, others have lost faith.
Many people in our community believe that this is an exercise in futility. But I believe that we owe it to our community, we owe it to the country, and we owe it to the world and to our people in Gaza and other places that we need to engage into a conversation. Now, whether they're serious about it or not, we will find out.
For Biden, the stakes are high, as his handling of the war will carry weight in this battleground state.
The Arab community will never support Biden in November unless Biden changes policy in the Middle East. It has to be. There is no other way.
Again, these talks are set for tomorrow. We'll be sure to continue to follow this and keep you posted. Reporting live in Dearborn, Jacqueline Francis, Local 4.
Fascinating. We will be following that further tomorrow. All right, Jacqueline.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer today introduced her 2025 fiscal year state budget. It's a whopping $80 billion, but smaller than last year's, which was propped up by federal relief dollars. The governor wants to expand spending on education and affordable housing. Local 4 business editor Rod Maloney is live tonight with a look at what the governor is asking. Rod.
Yeah, good evening, Kimberly. You know, here's the thing. We now know that truckloads of federal dollars are no longer coming. So I thought it was a good idea to take a look back and see over the past 6 years or 5 years precisely where the budget has been. So in 2020, the state budget was $64 billion, went up to 81 in 2022, 81 billion. Then it was 87.2. That's the big COVID money year. And then it came down, and the proposed budget now $80.7 billion. And the government's plan here is essentially to fund or try and fund Michigan's economic growth using tax dollars.
We've put a vision that really is about lowering people's costs, expanding and growing our economy, and ensuring greater outcomes for our kids and our skills attainment.
The governor says she'll forego $675 million in teacher pension obligation payments, which will help fund $600 million for education and adding housing rehabilitation money. Overall, she wants to spend nearly $1.5 billion on rehabbing old Michigan housing stock to address the affordable housing shortage. At the top of her priorities, though, guaranteeing free or taxpayer-funded community college for any high school graduate. She also wants 4-year-olds, regardless of parents' income, to have pre-K education, allowing for daycare savings, and also giving free breakfast and lunch at school for all. In the end, she says,
we're in a strong fiscal position. We built this budget utilizing resources based on what we believe are sustainable.
The governor also claims to be cutting taxes, but Senate Minority Leader Eric Nesbitt points out much of the governor's wish list is one-time funding or without line items at all, and that she needed a tax hike to make it all happen. The money coming after the governor getting a court to say that the income tax cut in 2023 was only for 1 year.
She finds some special classes to try to give some tax credits too, but she never wants to provide overall tax relief for small businesses and all working families in Michigan.
So going from this to this, you want to know what's left over. Well, let's take a look. The Rainy Day Fund, $2.2 billion. That's a hefty sum. But at the end of all of this, there's only $19 million left, after they've done all the spending the governor proposes, which is a far cry from what was this time last year, $9 billion. Reporting live downtown, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
Okay, Rod, we appreciate it. Love the props, too.
Yeah, okay, great breakdown there. Let's move to what's going on outside. Pretty mild day, some sun.
Yeah, unseasonably mild, and love to see the sunshine, too. Let's get over to Brett Collar. He's in for Kim Adams today with your forecast. Hi, Brett.
Hey there. We are seeing some clouds moving in, and you saw it on that shot there as the sun's going down. It's kind of creeping over those clouds. We'll see more of them as we head throughout the rest of tonight and the next couple days as well. But again, it's plenty mild. Keep in mind, this time of the year, we should be seeing highs mid-30s, close to the upper 30s in the next couple of weeks. How about this? We're in the mid to upper 40s. We're going to be close to 60 by Friday. But the rain is set to return. It's dry right now. Rain is still well out to the west of us. For us this evening, it's just cloud cover moving in as temps fall back down into the 30s by about midnight. But again, we are talking about rain, and you will need the umbrellas. We'll talk about when in just a bit.